Are you looking for a way to drive more revenue into the business that's more profitable, more predictable even, maybe? Well, today we're talking about pros and cons of Christmas lights versus pressure washing. And should you get into Christmas lights?
Yeah, you're going to hear from a friend of ours. And it basically makes me think of this, is that I've been on some roller coaster rides that you go up real slow, but you go down real fast. And that feels like the pressure washing arena. After today's show, you're going to learn how to ride a roller coaster that goes up faster than it goes down as it relates to profitability inside of your business. So make sure you stick around. You're going to want to check out his website and also his franchising business that he's offering, and whether or not you should open up the services of Christmas lights inside your city. We'll see you inside. Hey, what's up, my friend?
What's up, fellas?
Man, not a lot.
Hey, we heard that you hated baseball, and I'm imagining you as like let's say an eighth grader, and you're in the neighborhood, and there's this kid that's got one of those balls that you can place your fingers anywhere on the ball.
You know what he's talking about?
And then when it gets thrown, it does these crazy, zigzaggy motions and so forth.
You know what he's talking about?
No, is this something like Nerf makes or something? It's got little indentation.
Oh, if it was a Nerf, it actually would work.
Bar.
But it's a real baseball, has different colors where to put your fingers to throw like sliders and knuckleballs and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
The reason you didn't hear about this is you're too busy getting held up by Uzis. If our listeners would remember the last time we had you on the show.
If you haven't, you just need to go watch it. We won't even go any further. It's so
true.
Good.
Yeah, I spent my youth playing with Uzis instead of baseballs. Is that
classic American boy?
So Shane isn't even your real name, is it? Sean. All right. So I've got one of those curveball questions, and I'm wondering if you're going to hit it out of the park or if you're going to whiff and completely miss the question. So here it goes. Purpose or profits? Which has been most challenging for you inside your business over the years?
I would, all these top of the dome questions here, Joshua throws at you. I mean, challenging, I suppose finding purpose would be more challenging than profit. I think profit's easier. We all get motivated. We all get, gung-ho as entrepreneurs. It's easier to find profit than to really narrow down a purpose and turn that into company culture.
It's a hard question, though, because do you feel like your purpose changes? This is an authentic question. You think your purpose changes as life standards shift with the business?
100%. Yeah. I think just as we as entrepreneurs go through different seasons of life, things change.
You're the perfect guest to be on here because I need someone that absolutely knows how to crush the profitability conversation. And so we're going to be jumping right into that conversation today. And when you were like, let's say, I already said eighth grader. So let's say when you're 8 years old, were you in the well, it'd be like second grade, I think, for 8 years old.
I don't know those ages. I can't remember. I guess it's second grade.
So you're probably on the playground. You're playing with the dirt, looking for Indian money if they have Indian money out
throwing
in
rocks
Texas.
at kids, all the normal things.
When you were there, were you like, man, one day I am going to be a super pressure washer and absolutely crush the game and change the industry, I might say? Or did you have other superhero dreams as a child?
As I would say from early on, just even as early as elementary school, I remember saying like, no, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I mean, that was always in my blood. Come eighth grade, like I was an entrepreneur. I had lots of side hustles going on as an eighth grader. But in eighth grade, that's 13 years old. I think your analogy is fitting like a kid in a sandbox. At eighth grade, you're not a kid playing in a sandbox.
Yeah.
I'm detailing cars. I'm, side hustling things that are less than above board at eighth grade.
So I remember your story, and you transitioned from dope man to soap man. Help me understand why.
Man, I like that analogy. Dope to soap. So I mean, there's a decade in between that. Like, yes, I was a dope man from age 13, 14 to maybe 18, but we put all that behind us, at a very early age. and we became a soap man, maybe closer to 30 years old. And there's a lot of entrepreneur stuff in between there.
So when did you learn that you should be popping your head to soap man, soap man? Yeah, that's me. Where you could actually turn this thing into a legitimate business. When did you first realize that you could not only make money, but be able to make a lot of money and bring on other people?
So we started the business from day one with that in mind. I did not get into the soap game to just fiddle around and make a side hustle. At that stage in my life, we were ready to build something big, create systems, franchise it, make a brand. And that was always our goal from day one, before we even did our first customer.
And so how long ago was that again?
So that was in 2015. I'm 41 now, so I was about 32 years of age.
Okay. So at 32. And your wife has been on this journey with you the whole time, right?
The whole time.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick.
So over the journey, yeah. So let's go ahead and dial into this. Over the journey, you've had to learn how to be a responsible entrepreneur and dial in your numbers for profitability. And so would you share with us a little bit of what you've learned in order to be a profitable pressure washing company?
I think it's kind of cliche to say, right, you got to know your numbers. I mean, as true as that is, it's kind of been said a lot. And I think just kind of starting off your basics, and it depends on where you're at in your entrepreneur journey, right? I mean, it's just something as simple as having a bank account separate from your personal account, like the basics going back. Like, you need to know what you're making. You need to have your business make money. As an owner, you need to make money, and your business as its own entity needs to make money. I think once you kind of have the building blocks, it's easier to go from there. When you start to scale, I think things like having a bookkeeper are more and more important as you're controlling your cogs.
When you started out, you started with the franchising scaling in mind. So did you immediately know that you needed to be a separate entity from your business, or did that take you a little time to learn?
We immediately set it up as an S Corp from day one.
Wow.
And then as you understood profitability, if I wanted to, let's say, do $100,000 next year, I'm a startup company. How would I set the company up where I could make sure that I'm profitable from year one?
So that's a hard question, right? Like, I would need to ask 50 more questions. Are you trying to bootstrap it? Do you have 20 grand in your bank account and you're ready to rock and roll? So everyone's kind of at different levels. Let's just assume they had money or some kind of background. Then yes, I would say you need to set up as an S Corp immediately from day one. Now, if you're a 17-year-old kid and you don't have anything, if someone was to sue you, you don't have any kind of a net worth, well, you could start as a DBA and cash flow up to a S Corp. Well, what is a DBA is maybe $5-10 to set up, versus maybe an S Corp's a little more complicated depending on what state you're in. You might pay your CPA to do it. That's what I do. I got to pay him a couple grand, file all the paperwork. Well, that's a little bit more of an upfront cost for a 17, 18-year-old kid with a couple $100.
I want to take a break from the show to tell you something that we have been working on. It's kind of like the cat out of the bag. It has been a dream for Brady and I to be able to create a store that you can go to and get everything that you need to start and scale a pressure washing company. And so one of the problems that you run into is you don't always know who to trust, who to buy from, what coaching to take, how much to price jobs for, and also getting coaching to continue to grow throughout the year. Well, we've created a one-stop shop called mysoftwashstore.com, where you can get video courses, you can get whatever kind of training that you're needing,
Access to relationships we have.
Yeah, different marketing tools that we utilize, from CRMs to nice jobs, different partners. But also it gives you our relationships with our chemicals, our equipment, our supplies. You can order it all right through one spot. And then we also have continual training that we can offer you if you're trying to scale to multiple $1 million inside your own pressure washing company.
Yeah. So the simple thing you need to do is just go visit mysoftwashstore.com, browse around, and click anything you want to.
We have several guests that are lined up for the next several series or the several episodes we're getting into. And I believe that you have a superpower in really understanding your number. You've been a part of, I think, Conquer. You've been a part of some other networks that have trained you how to understand a pro forma document, how to break down your services and products and have a profitability percentage. And so if I'm setting up from day one, what kind of numbers do I need to stay in between in order to get the profits? And let's just make something up. I've got $20,000 to start the business. I'm going to start it on a skinny $5,000 setup, maybe in a small trailer, and pull it with my Honda Odyssey with some stickers on the back, which gives me about $12,000 left over after I order some marketing materials. What are the numbers that I need to keep or measure over the years?
So I would start with a budget, map out your year. If you're going to make 100 grand, how's that going to look? The numbers are going to be bigger in springtime and fall time versus February, March, August, September. Those are your slow months. So kind of calculate out your expected revenue over the course of the month. If you're starting out, right, it's going to stair step up. And then that kind of helps us work backwards. So now we want to make sure our COGS are on point. COGS, cost of goods sold. So your labor, all your field labor, you want to keep it 30% or less. Your admin labor, if you have admin, right, you want to keep around 7% or less. Marketing, you probably want to be more on the aggressive side of marketing because you're new, you're trying to get things going. You're not as established. So maybe you have a 10% marketing budget. So you kind of have these levels set, and then you know where your profit is from there. Your profit may only be 10 to 20% because you're being a little more aggressive on marketing. Whereas when you're more established, you might be more in the 25% net range, which is good and healthy.
Yeah. Where is your company at today as far as profitability?
So it's a great question. I can answer where we finished last year is 26% net profitability. Where I'm at year to date is less because we've been expanding a lot. We bought a $150,000 boom lift. I've brought on a chief marketing officer, that's helping us grow our GEEKS brand nationwide. We're investing a lot in that. So I can't say my net's nearly what it should be, but we also have a larger revenue. This year will make $2 million between both companies.
Let's go. Hey, great job.
You mentioned both companies there. I think that's a great time to get into. When did you start doing Christmas lights? That seems to be something that is getting pitched down our throats as pressure washing companies to get into Christmas and holiday lighting.
It is. There's got to be at least 20 different people trying to train it and have different programs for that. And they're all probably really good. Christmas lights is a really good business. It is getting saturated. We started in 2018 and fell just in love with the lighting industry. Christmas money was really easy for us. It was something that gave me energy. It's kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant during Christmas season. I like that feeling. And that caused us to make our GEEKS brand to do lighting year round.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So what should be the profitability from this? Let's kind of go through the services, and I'd like for us to think about the different services that your company offers, from window cleaning to pressure washing houses to roof cleaning. What is the most profitable or has the most potential for profitability of all the services that you offer?
Christmas lights.
So have you seen the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
Sure, of course.
All right. At the end of the movie, towards the end, he's got a trail cart of people he's holding with a web that's falling off the bridge, and he's got Mary Jane over here. No shot, he's saving both of them. Here's a really honest question. You're Spider-Man, and your Christmas lights are in a trail cart, and your pressure washing's Mary Jane. Which one are you going to let go if you had to?
Man, I like the way you spun that question. Right, I see where you're going with that. So tell me that again. So I got Christmas lights on one hand, and then what is my other?
If one of them was going to fail, your other one's your pressure washing window cleaning company.
Got it. I would choose Christmas lights.
Are you serious, man?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wow.
We do more revenue in Christmas lights than I do year-round pressure washing.
And you do that in what, 4 months time total?
The bulk of it's within about a 10-week time frame.
That's
You could say
so
12 weeks
crazy.
total. We started yesterday on our first Christmas light installs.
What do you project to do this year in Christmas lights?
I wrote out in January our goal is to be 900,000 this year in lights. Although we're just that close to really kind of getting that magical million number. So I'm really stretching to hit a million, even though my goal and expectations were 900.
What will be the profitability that you project if you did hit 900,000 this year?
So great question again. So I said 26% was what our net was for the year. So the rest of the year, January through August, is going to be lower than that, but Christmas punts us up over that. So our net profitability during Christmas season is probably going to be closer to 30, 40%.
So gosh, this is hard to listen to. This is crazy talk. We've got guys that are going to watch this that have probably been pitched to get into Christmas lights. Of that 26% from the previous year, how much of that is Christmas lights and how much of it is pressure washing and window cleaning?
About 55% of our revenue was done in Q4.
Whoa, dude.
So walk me through the cogs of Christmas lights.
Okay.
Percentage base.
Sure. So let's say your COGS first year on your materials is going to be about 40%. So that's in your Christmas light material. Your labor is going to be about 20%. Field labor is going to be about 20%. So you got about 40% left over for your overhead. If you're doing a large amount, you've got an extra admin, you've got a salesperson, you've got warehouse. So that's going to knock down on that COGS. If you're smaller, you probably don't have all of that. So first year, you might have 10 to 20% at the end of the year, on a first year customer, 20% if you really priced it good and you did well. Fast forward next year, well, now your labor's cheaper because everything's pre-cut, plugged. It's easier to go back up because you made a good schematic. You don't have material cost, and all you really have is that labor cost. You don't have a salesman cost. You don't really have much of an admin other than booking the job. So your gross margin is more 80% on the subsequent years. At some point, you do need to replace the material, so it's not 80% in perpetuity, but it's really good profit margins.
Wow.
So what it sounds like is there's a cost at the beginning that ends up feeding the child at the end. So once you start having customers to be able to return and have them again, the profitability goes up by 30, 40%. Is that right?
That is correct. I mean, it's not all unicorns and lollipops, right? There are some marketing today now that it's saturated. You might have to market. You might have to do some boots on the ground marketing a little harder than the next guy. You may have to discount your services a little more to start getting some customers, making a name for yourself. You may over order on inventory with the expectations of using it. At the end of the year, you still have a bunch of inventory, which dips into your net profit margins. So there are some cons to it, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
How long or how many seasons do you think it took you to? And I know that this changes as it grows. The answer changes. How long did it take you to figure out the Christmas light game, the timing of ordering, and how to do and build that system?
Well, when you invest in some knowledge and you go through some training programs in the beginning, which we plugged in with and Christmas lights, that kind of really helped our learning curve, a little bit, what to order, what not to order, gave us some discounted materials. But I would say it was really year 3 where we kind of started to get things dialed in and started showing profit margins. Just the first couple of years too. So we grew so quick. We're buying shelves every year. We're buying Connex boxes to store stuff. So there's a lot of investment at the end of the season to store everything when you're going with the leasing model.
Besides purchasing crypto with all your profits, what are some other ways that you use the money to invest in for future?
So we bought an office building that we bought cash. Like that was a big one. We put it on the 8 acres that our yard's on. So we've got that. We rent out 8 of the 10 offices. We also put a cabin on our property too to rent out. So those net cash flow us $5,000 a month consistently throughout the year. We've got our warehouse that we operate out of and an office also paid off. So we've got this piece of real estate that cash flows $5,000 to $6,000 every month. It's worth probably over $1 million and it's paid for. So that was a huge, investment for us. That's paid off really good. Crypto, stocks. We also invest in an apartment complex in East Texas where we own a small percentage of that.
So what you did is you read the playbook of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and you put into play investing cash into
Multiple
That was
stream
about
investment,
19 years old. Yeah, we did. We read that. We cash flowed extra trailers, trucks. We grew our business relatively debt free, poured a lot of cash back into it. So now it's kind of more of a cash cow. We get to buy things like boom lifts and cyber trucks and cool stuff since we've sacrificed for so long.
All right, I'm listening to this and I'm like, I've got saliva going down the side of my beard and I'm like, okay, I want this. What words of encouragement or how would you speak to the person that's listening, thinking that's so far away? What advice would you give them to help them get there?
and define sacrifice.
So let's say you make a couple $100,000 net. You are either upgrading your lifestyle too soon, and you start living on $200,000. Well, if you choke the chicken before it lays an egg, then you don't have, a golden goose later on. So what we did is we lived on 100,000 and invested that extra 100,000 in things like crypto, Tesla, office buildings, apartment buildings. And after doing that for 5 years or so, which we did, now we finally are starting to kind of cash flow things out. We're on top of everything. Everything's paid off. We've got equity, like in this building, we're refinancing it. I'm going to pull 400,000 out this month. We're like this close to closing on it. Then I'm going to use that 400,000 to go buy more real estate on the cheap. So and then back to your Rich Dad analogy. Once you get out of the rat race, right, it goes so quick. 0 to 100,000 in savings is hard. That takes forever. 100,000 to $1 million, that goes by really quick.
Hey, I want to thank you for taking time to listen to our podcast. We're going to break from the show for a second, and I've just got a simple question for you. Are you looking to start a pressure washing company? If so, I want to invite you to a free webinar that we do for anyone that's wanting to know everything they need to know before making a decision in starting a pressure washing company.
Yeah, sometimes thinking about jumping out on your own, you get analysis paralysis, and this free webinar will really help you with that. And there's no strings attached. It's totally free. All you've got to do is visit pressurewashingpastor.com, click start here, fill out the paperwork, and we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, I hope to see you in the future. Now back to your show. This would have never happened if you weren't blank.
Discipline in spending money. I've been pretty disciplined. We've always drove cash cars. I've always not bought brand new furniture. And I don't want to say I've always been super cheap, because that might be an exaggeration. We still buy nice stuff, but I never lived to my income.
Yeah, that's so good.
Where did you learn all of this advice? I would imagine that most people that are listening to this is like, man, it sounds impossible. Did you read a book? Have you surrounded yourself with people? Where did you cut your teeth? If I wanted to be more like you, think more like you, how could I do that?
So another great piece of advice, I have always invested in personal development, whether it's through mastermind groups, books, events, heavily, probably 10% of my income. Honestly, now it's probably 20, 30 grand a year in traveling and mastermind groups. So that has been very, very pivotal. People that are where I want to be and are worth 5, 10, 20 million that are giving me advice early on. Remember reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, just a not necessarily a plug for Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? But if you've never read that book, it is a good starter book. He said this always stuck in my mind. He said, if I wanted to buy a Porsche and it's $500 a month, instead of going out and buying the car, I went out and bought an apartment building or piece of real estate that netted $500 a month, and that paid for the car. So I always kind of had that mentality in the back of my mind. If I want a Cybertruck and a boom lift, well, then I should go build an office complex that cash flows $5,000 a month to pay for a Cybertruck and a boom lift. If I'm not buying the cash, that is.
Duffy, I ain't got $20,000, $30,000 a year to invest inside of a mastermind group and traveling. Like, it sounds nice. So there's no hope for me.
You don't. That's the rat race. That's what we're all trying to get out of. So as soon as you start making a few extra $100, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to buy an extra coffee 3 times a week? Are you going to eat out a little bit more? Is that 300? Are you even going to notice that you're making an extra 300? And where's it going? Are you keeping track of that? So you do have it. Everyone has it. You're just not disciplined enough to know it or save it.
Yes and amen.
I want you in my life. I want you in my life. What do I have to?
Absolutely right.
What do I have?
Duffy, man. That's your new name on here.
Oh, piss posh.
It's so good.
All right. So got a question for you. We've got maybe 2 more questions on board for you. And before I let you off the plane, what's the single most important thing I should know or track in order to maximize my profits?
So I think all of our biggest expense is field labor. I mean, that's the big one. Are you managing that field labor properly? And whether you're doing hourly or performance pay, we do performance pay and commission, so it's predictable. Sometimes the guys get paid more than they should, but still, like, it's predictable for us. Cutting things down, like, are they going to the gas station every morning on the clock? Are they filling up? Are you making jobs where there's 45-minute drive time in between jobs? And then they stop at the gas station in between that. Are you making it easy when they get to the shop that they load up and they're in and out within 15 minutes? Or do they fiddle-faddle around? Is one guy loading up while the other guy's just sitting there watching them for 45 minutes? Are they all, dickling around at the water cooler talking about their weekend? So all of those can be revenue killers, and those hours add up quite a bit. I think sometimes of entrepreneurs too, we see like shiny objects, this particular mastermind group or this CRM or this marketing business that's been calling me a marketing, like all these things, this magazine ad this guy keeps promising me is going to be great. We tend to spend money without really thinking because it's in our bank account. You look, Brady, like, yeah.
I have never known anybody that could be diagnosed with the girl in the red dress syndrome or golden shiny object syndrome. I've never known anybody to do that.
Lady in red.
Man, it's so true. And it's so hard. I think what I hear you saying is systems. And I think that's transferable to even a solopreneur. Dial in your systems, man, from the very get-go.
Are you buying a brand new $60,000 skid when you don't necessarily have the jobs to support such an awesome skid?
The skid's going to give me the job, Shane.
The skid's going to win you the job, right? You just got to park that and people are going to flock to you. Are you buying a $50,000 truck because now you've got a skid that you want to put in the bed or carry on a trailer?
Yeah, and not to mention the $12,000 wrap. That's also going to get it too.
Exactly. So there's lots of things, we spend money on because we just want nice trucks and nice toys. But at the end of the day, is the ROI really justify the expense?
So if I wanted to go out of business next year, and I would imagine, I mean, you've been in business for how long as it relates to pressure washing, window cleaning, Christmas lights?
2015, so 9 years.
9 years. How many companies have you seen around you and your friends in the pressure washing business go out of business over time?
A lot. I mean, there's a lot coming in, but there's a lot going out as well. I mean, that's honestly where we've bought our skids and stuff from. We buy them, for 10, 20 cents on the dollar from what they paid brand new, maybe 40, 50 cents if it was a really well kept skid. Same with trucks. We've bought out, I want to say 4 different companies, whether it was their Christmas light division or their pressure washing division.
Yeah, we've all got nicknames here. I'm the pressure washing pastor. This is the pressure washing prophet. And I got a nickname for you as well. You're the pressure washing pimp.
Right on.
I really like Big Daddy Duffy.
Big
Daddy Duffy hits hard.
He's Big Daddy for sure.
Yeah, man.
It has a ring, Glow Daddy.
Is there any last piece of advice you want to give anybody on this conversation of profitability? As you've looked and watched over 9 years of people going out of business, can you look at something similar that they've done that landed them out of business?
I think kind of summarizing some of the stuff that we went over, keeping your overhead low. Someone starts and they have a great spring and they think life is always going to be great. And they go out and they finance a bunch of things and commit to a bunch of different monthly expenses. And then August hits them in the face and you go 6 weeks with slower revenue and you're struggling for payroll and paying all these bills in your big fancy office and your warehouse. Keep things low overhead, build up your savings account first, before you start buying the really expensive toys. I said, be a little frugal in the beginning.
Those businesses would not be out of business if they would have kept money inside the business.
100%.
There is a lot of great outdoor lighting companies and a lot of great outdoor lighting, Christmas lighting, training cohorts, masterminds. And one of them is the one that you belong to. Would you share with our listeners if they're interested in learning about Christmas lights, outdoor lighting, even the window cleaning? Where can they find you? Would you share a little bit about it?
Sure. So for Christmas lights, I would plug in Josh Trees with We Hang Christmas Lights. He does trainings right now every single week. He sells Christmas lights. For landscape lights or anything else that glows, I have co-founded with my landscape light mentor, Nate Mullen. If you Google him, he is the GOAT when it comes to landscape lighting. He has dominated the field for the last 40 years. His inventions are what everyone currently uses for landscape lighting with his work that he did at Unique. If you're a landscape light guy, you know what Unique was. That was his baby. So the lighting trade school is where we teach folks landscape lights and how to build a profitable business year round. Our slogan is, you make 1 million with one crew, one truck in landscape lights.
Wow.
Yeah. And we do webinars where we have people come in wanting to open a pressure washing business. And if they're not in a geographical location where I think it's wise, I send them to Big Daddy Gaddy. we got Gaddy here.
Glow Daddy Duffy.
That's so funny.
That's your new name for this, because you're going to be on a lot.
Yeah. And so I would highly recommend anyone, and I would consider, if I haven't started a business, I would consider the outdoor lighting Christmas business before I think about the pressure washing business, because the pressure washing business is a grind, and it is a grind. And to be able to start a business where you can run one dude out of one truck and hit 1 million, let's go. And so our listeners, I'd love to direct you to our friend's direction. Where can they find you? Do you have a website? Do you have your own face?
Check us out on socials, Instagram, Glow Show Shane Duffy, Facebook, glowgeeksgang.com. Kind of talks about Glow Geeks and what we're doing nationwide there, or thelightingtradeschool.com.
Hey, we want to thank you for your time, and until next time, peace.